awesome Saturday that we have today. It's cool, a bit warm, though one is able to move up and down. But anyway, this is Off the Pitch, the show that comes your way every Saturday at 9:30. And apologies for starting the show a bit late. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amory, and here to give you nothing but the best in terms of what has been happening in the world of sports. I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by one Augustine and hoping to be joined by Uncle Rapson anytime soon. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. Good morning to the viewers out there and Happy New Year to everyone.
Oh, it's a new year. Hey, it's a new year. Happy New Year to everyone. But like I said earlier, this is a show that gives you nothing but the highlights of whatever has been happening in the world of sports. For now, we'll just take a very short break as we get to be joined by Uncle Rapson.
My name is Christopher Adam. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and like I said earlier, we are going to be joined by one Uncle Rapson. Uncle Rapson, Happy New Year or Happy 2024, and welcome to the show.
It's indeed a very, very lovely year, and God's grace has been very sufficient for us to see through 2023. It's not been easy. A couple of lives have been lost in the process, and to be alive is nothing but a blessing from God, and it's always nice to be here. And to our dear viewers who've joined us, thank you so much for choosing the best channel to give you nothing but the best. Augustine, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, we were together in Boroma Stadium the weekend
when a team from Charleston
beat the mighty Karampa 1-0 via Pokatem. I think he loves scoring against Ghana Football Club. Remember in 20.
But how do you score 1 goal against a team that is
2014 when we were deep in the relegation waters, just like in Ghana.
When you remember that game, I remember you were sitting a couple of rows down me, and Pokatema was quick to score in the 3rd minute, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it was one-way traffic throughout, but I think Ghana managed to stabilize. It's not a very bad team. They are playing some good football, except results are not just going Ghana's way, and we hope that this weekend will be the beginning of new things.
And I mentioned it at halftime, saying that when we had a small chat, Ghana were the better side. I think, to be honest, yes, the result looks bad because they lost by 1 goal to Red Arrows, but they dictated the tempo of the game. They played some beautiful football, but I think it's just the end product. The final third, that's why they were lacking. Ghana could see the young boy Zit Katuta. He was running wings, but he's not very, very sharp in front of goal, but he's a hard work. I think Ghana fans would appreciate that. They saw that their team went there to Ngolma Stadium and they were fighting. I think I was impressed with the midfield combination of the young boy. They said the holding midfielder Stefan Churu together with Harrison Sala and Jagumbulu. I think they dictated the tempo. They made Red Arrows chase the game, and on another day Ghana would have won that game, because you remember Japan Tempo made about 2 brilliant saves from headers. I think there is a lot of positivity with Ian Bakala, with the brand of football that is playing in Ghana, and we saw during the course of the week the acquisitions of Austin Banda, Lennon Muma and Mongandala. They will bring something different to the team together with Idris Mbombo. If they can get over Chito Chinga over the line, I think that would be a huge signing, and it will see Ghana Football Club change their spine, because that has been the biggest problem throughout the season.
No, I think we spoke about it, Augustine. I think it was that other week, and we were like, okay, hopefully wish and perhaps on zero, maybe Copycode, when we saw the EXCO being dissolved. And it's something that we've been talking of late, to say, why firing coaches when the EXCO still remains the same?
Well, we've seen Ghana take the right step in the right direction. I think it was long overdue, where first of all you begin by gambling, you get rid of the coach, hoping to get different results. The results continue in the same manner. You bring in a new coach, same result. The next thing you should ask yourself is it the administrators who are doing something wrong? What are we not doing right? And I think it was a positive move, a positive step in the right direction of arresting the other executive and putting in a new one, a standing committee that will probably, and I think it's not even a new one actually. Those are old guys who were in the executive before, and now they are back and trying to bring their expertise in just trying to stabilize the team and make sure that we avoid relegation. And I think it's yielding results. The acquisition of, I think for me, Austin Banda is one of the best acquisitions. He's been very instrumental at Naps and Stars, and to see him leave and join a struggling Ghana Football Club, it's probably because he wants to be given the freedom to play football the way Ian Bakala loves it. And the combination of Ian and Sipo, the free-flowing football that we've seen Ghana playing, probably is just the lack of that expertise that we are lacking. But you could see that even in the last game, the game was flowing. You could see how the midfield, for once, for the first time, I saw Alassana Diarra look lost in midfield. Jacob Ngurube was running rings around them. It was well dominated midfield in the game against Red Arrows. And I think the acquisition of Idris Mbombo, the passionate Idris Mbombo, who once did this. He wanted Vieira to come in at some point, but we didn't have at that time. I think if he can bring back that kind of passion back to Ghana Football Club, I think the winning ways are starting this afternoon against Mtondo Stars.
And I do think with the acquisitions that have been made, you look at Mongandala, what he's done for Moza during the years. Even a struggling Lusaka Dynamos was one of their best players. So Ghana are going to solve that problem that they have had in the past two seasons when Mangani Banda has been in go. I think a lot of question marks surrounding Mangani Banda. You could see process being put into the box. They are failing to deal with it. The goalkeeper is failing to come. He's not a shot stopper. And this Mongandala is coming in. He's very, very good when it comes to crosses. He's a shot stopper. Yes, he's a comedian here and there, but he's going to add something different to Ghana. And you could see, I think, even from the game against Red Arrows identified Ghana's weak point, and they capitalized in 3 minutes. And that was defending balls at the near post. You saw Paul Denham was in the derby. They scored about 2 goals from the near post. They are failing to defend set pieces on the near post. I think now this coming in on Mongandala, who organizes his defense to try and rectify that, to try and improve on that. And going forward, I do think with these acquisitions, Ghana surely are staying up, because there are a lot of teams above them that do not have what it takes.
Well
For the first time,
Ghana staying up. You look at the teams that are above them. do they have a lot of goals in them? That's the biggest question. But Ghana now brought in Idris Mbombo, who get them those much needed goals. If he can do what David Kavala did last season, scoring 6 or 7 goals, he will keep Ghana up, and Ghana staying up.
It can't be a league without Ghana.
Yeah, Ian Bagala plays a very good brand of football. Like Mr.
Not until Ghana bounces back.
The domination, the way they're dominating teams now in possession. I think you could look back to the games they played in the last 6, 7 or 8 games. A game against Zesco United, the first 20 minutes, that was the best 20 minutes we've ever seen Ghana play this season.
I'm posting something.
Then they dropped off. Then against Red Arrows, you could see that was a very, very dominant performance against a team which is doing very well this season. So there are a lot of positives. Against Musa, towards the very end at Woodland Stadium, they pushed Musa and eventually forced that equalizer, so they can pick moments in the season to try and build confidence going forward. And I do believe Ian Bagala has what it takes to get this Ghana team out of relegation this season and get them challenging next season.
Next season,
yeah,
not this season.
No, this season is basically surviving.
Anyway, let's look at now our national team. We saw Frank Msonda and Lamek Banda joining in, and now the squad is full. And looking at the prize money that was changed, maybe it was increased by 40%.
Well, Mosepe is a businessman. He's a very, very strong businessman. Number one, you realize that most of these pay stations, private pay stations, pay TV stations, do not have rights to the AFCON.
Yeah.
What did he do? He went for the national broadcasters. And how many are they? There are plenty. So what he did is, he got them to put money together in one pot and gave them rights at the expense of these private TV stations. What does he want? He wants more people to have access to AFCON than a few chosen ones who can afford to pay premium prices for these TV rates that we have. So when you look at a bigger pot, it's going for it's really reflected in the 7 million prize money that the winners will get. And I think for me, it's a very, very big and positive step in the right direction. It's very, very motivating. Imagine, Augustine, you're getting to the quarterfinals. Just when you pass the group stages, you go to the quarterfinals. You're already at $1,300,000. $1.3 million.
10 years ago, that's what we got. Is it 1.5?
Yes, as winners.
As winners, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can see that it has really
improved. And for me, it's a very, very big motivation. And it brings me back to how FAS has been organizing these games. Of course, they are incurring big expenses. The expense is quite big to come to the team in Saudi Arabia, play a few games here and there. You realize that the cost is on the higher side. But I think even our own vice president, he's a businessman. He knows that for you to reap the correct results, you really have to invest in the preparations. And this is exactly what they've done. And for me, it will not be surprising if they got past the quarterfinals, because they will get what they have invested in the preparations. And I think it's a very, very good thing that we have a full squad with a couple of days to go, probably maybe 7-8 days more, and everybody is together. So the gelling of the team needs to happen as quickly as possible, so that we are very, very correct in that space. The prize money is very attractive, if you ask me. Very, very attractive, including the fact that most of us will have no choice but to go and buy those small, what do you call those decoderants? We'll buy them. We don't want to mention them, but it's good that the masses will have access to these games. It's very, very motivating for the lads out there to go out there and say, we are presenting Mother Zambia, and the whole country is watching. Not the few that can afford to pay, but the masses that can afford to have access to the TV station that will be broadcasting these games live.
And it's a good move, and we saw how a lot of debates were there on social media. But then away from that, Augustine, we saw Frank Msonda and Lamek Banda joining the squad, and we saw Avram Grant, if you watched the interview that he had, where he mentioned a lot of things to say if it's up to him, if he wants to, if no one performs, he would rather go with 23 players at the AFCON.
Yeah, I think he's a very, very smart coach, and you could see that his season, he's been in a game for too long. He led Ghana just a couple of years ago to that penalty shootout final where they lost to Cote d'Ivoire. So he understands the game very much, and I think his thinking is that why should I go with 27 players when I can just go with 23?
When I can get value from the field.
Exactly. Yeah. You work with less players to try and put your message across easily rather than having a big pool. And you could see in his selection, I think he's gone with players that are tried and tested, people that he has worked with. There's no one who is new in this squad.
There is one.
Who is that?
Miguel
Chaiwa. He's worked with Miguel at under 23.
Oh yes.
That's why you could see that there's that understanding, because I think he's very much close to Atletico Lusaka, Avram Grant, because of Karim, but that's a story for another day. So I think you could see that
he's right.
Yeah, you could see that Miguel Chaiwa, he's one of those boys that were always constantly knocking on that door, and it has opened for him, and it will be a very big opportunity for him. So looking at the selection that he's made, we had a lot of question marks to which goalkeeper is going to make that trip to Ivory Coast, and looking at the three that he has picked, only one is seeing game time at the club, and that is Lawrence Mulenga. Yes, Lawrence Mulenga, he hasn't had the best season this season for Power Dynamos. He has had the shaky start, but he's reliable. He had a very good season last year, conceded only 19 goals, and 5 were at Ngoloma Stadium, because he had conceded 14 the entire season. So you can see that this is a team that he believes in what he's speaking. Tostan Sawat, question marks. He hasn't been playing for this United. Yes, he was called upon a couple of weeks ago by George Wandamina, probably for him to make this squad. It was a very smart move by Chicken George.
He's a clever man.
Yeah, he was very, very smart.
He looked at the available goalkeepers who've been exposed to the national team, and then probably for once, Otenio had to be benched, and
because he's not playing AFCON. So let's try and push closer to AFCON.
So and it has gone
and it was a very smart move. And if you look at Tostan Sawat, I think he's probably physically he's up there with the top goalkeepers at the Africa Cup of Nations, because we are going to face that big challenge when it comes to aerial threat. Our goalkeepers, are they good enough to come out for the ball? Are they strong enough? I think when you look at the goalkeepers that we've picked, it's probably Tostan Sawat that will be very, very when it comes to the physical side of the game, he's going to match up with everyone out there. And playing out from the back, we have got Lawrence Mulenga. He's probably the best in the league when it comes to playing out from the back. He's very, very calm, very comfortable in possession, and you could see that Avram Grant has gone with assurance in that department. Francis Mwasai always divides opinions, but this is a goalkeeper who Avram Grant probably sees a future. It's not going to be the here and now, but probably in future it's going to work out, and it's going to be good for him. Remember, a lot of question marks were surrounding Patson Daka when George Wandamina was picking Patson Daka to lead the line for the senior national team. Today, George Wandamina has been
vindicated.
Yeah, because Patson Daka is now our main man. So it takes a lot from these coaches. They do work with these players week in, week out, and they understand what the attributes are, and they know this Francis Mwansa will probably grow and become the goalkeeper that the Copa Bullet want.
Going into the friendly that we are playing against Cameroon and Corruption on the 9th, will it be a friendly form experiment?
Well, number one, this is a game where I expect Avram Grant to most likely use the correct starting 11 for the first 45 minutes, and then allow confidence to be built amongst those players that will not be seeing game time at the AFCON. Believe you me, not everyone is going to have a chance to play at the AFCON, but they are part of the team. So he needs to send a very strong message as well in that friendly to the opponents that we are ready for them. And for me, our friendly game against Cameroon is a very, very high profile friendly, and to see what the lads are going to do in that particular game, it will give me a lot of confidence after watching the game, more probably analyzing it and seeing how the game is going to be taken on. Because remember, Avram Grant has had exposure to all these players. I would just like to be very, very certain with the way he's going to start at the back. I'm not very, very comfortable with the two centre backs. Yes, they are good. They've been there. They've been tried and tested. But I think against a team like Congo DR, where that boy, who's that boy at Watford? Kayembe, yeah. That boy is lethal. I think he's lethal and quick. Very quick. I saw him play, scored, I think he scored 2 goals against, is it Plymouth? It was a very, very good game. I watched it end to end. The reason I was watching that game, I was looking out for players that will face our national team to see how best our team is positioned against the opposition. And I would like to see how he's going to make his centre backs. On the left side of the pitch, by default, we have Rodri Kawe there by default. And I hope...
You haven't mentioned the centre backs that he might use.
Of course, they're just two there. There's no question about that. It's Topira Suzu and Frank Johnson. But if you ask me my opinion, I would have probably asked for Kylian Kanguruma to be part of the squad.
And it's shocking, huh?
He's been very
consistent,
very consistent, and he's very good with aerial balls, and even his footwork is fantastic.
And the man was aiming for a co-op.
And if it had if it happened like that, the other part that I would have loved is if you've seen how Frank enjoys starting the ball from the back. He's one defender that doesn't kick the ball. One of the few centre backs that will not shoot the ball beyond the midfielders. He wants to involve the midfielders to play. That is what is going to win us games. Having ball possession and denying your opponents is very key at this tournament.
The left side, you said it's a definite thing.
I don't want to talk about Rodri. So he's a lucky man. He has no competition in that position.
I think you look at Rodri Kawe a couple of years ago. I think he was, one of our reliable left backs. But the problem is that he's going to a league which is it
non-existent in Iraq.
Yeah, and he's not seeing a lot of game time. That's the biggest problem. So
you go to Iraq and you're not playing.
You're coming into a tournament where you're going to face a lot of oppositions that are on fire. I think Mr. Skombe touched upon Kaembe. I think Congo have got one of the best teams at the Africa Cup of Nations. You look at their centre back in Chancellor Mbemba, who was once at Newcastle, now at Marseille. You could see that they've got Yohan Wissa, Brentford.
They only have two local players.
Yeah, they've got Diangana from Watford. Diangana is doing a lot of damage for West Brom in the lower league together with Kaembe at Watford, and they've got their talisman, their hold-up player in Kedrick Bakambu. You remember him at Villarreal, and he moved on to China. So they have got a very good team, Villarreal. Congo, and they are going to pose a very huge threat to us. And you look at the players that have been left out in that Congo team, they would walk straight into another team. They've got Yusuf Murumbu.
Even in Ghana one, Monga Ndala has been left in. They have a big squad. So you see that this is a team that has got a lot of potential,
a lot of good players. But the biggest problem I have with the Congolese is that unity when it comes to these big tournaments. That's their biggest problem. If they can just be united and play as a team, they will be a big threat. And if you look at our team, our biggest problem is what we do without the ball. That's the biggest challenge. That's something that Avram Grant will go and work out during this camp in Saudi Arabia. What they have done is that they've taken Zambia to Saudi Arabia. There are a couple of African teams that are camped in Saudi Arabia, so it gives us an opportunity to play high-profile friendlies like Cameroon. It gives us a chance to try and assess the team where we are at. Defensively, I think going to the tournament, I would love to have a flat back four. Let's not force our fullbacks to bomb forward and provide us with the width, because when it's recovery time, we're not good at that. That's the biggest problem. So we want to see a back four which will just sit home and let the attacking players do their work. Yes, one or two opportunities will pop up where proper Benedict Chepeshi, Zephania Piri, Rodrigo who go into those advanced areas. But what they need to do is that the first priority is you are a defender. You are going to the Africa Cup of Nations to defend. Let's stick to principles, let's stick to basics. That will see us get into the next level of the tournament. James Shamanga spoke about how difficult the first game is and how crucial, because it's that game which will determine your path in the tournament. We need to try and get that right. Remember in the 2012 AFCON, we played Senegal in the first game. They had huge names. We had boys like Nathan Zingaro who are going to that big stage for the first time. And now we have carried a group of players who are going to this stage for the first time. You look at players that have played at Africa Cup of Nations. Yes, Ankorapson's favorite player, Rodrigo. He's one of those few players that have been there before. We've got Stopirasons who has been there before. Ivan Skangwa has been left out. He was one of the players that we have who were relying on when it comes to the experience. Lubambo Msonda, captain, he's been there. He was there as a youngster under Ona Janza. So you could see that only 3 players have played at this biggest showpiece. The rest is the first time. But the good thing is that most of these players have played at junior tournaments. You look at Benedict Chepesh, he's played at the under 20, Patson Daka, Lamek Banda at the under 23, together with Prince Kangwa, Fashion Sakala. So they've experienced that big stage. Miguel Chaiwa just recently,
including champions.
Yeah, so you could see that they've got that experience of playing big tournament. They won't be intimidated by anyone going to the AFCON.
Just a quick one, Ango Rapson, maybe I'll throw it to you. Is Lubambo Msonda ready to lead the team at the AFCON?
Well, leadership is a very relative thing, and if you say is he ready to lead,
or will he manage to lead?
No. It's your question is very correct. I'll bring you back to a very simple statement of FC Muza. Their captain is always leading the team from the bench. I hope I've answered your question correctly.
Auguste?
Yeah, I think if you look at Lubambo Msonda, ever since he was given that armband, I think he plays with a bit of pressure because I think it's big leading Polo Polo. Remember Stopiran Sunzu gave her he said, I cannot be captain of the national team. It's big pressure. But I think Lubambo Msonda, to be fair, he's a hard worker. He works very, very hard. He leads by example. That's the biggest thing. Even in training, he leads by example. He works hard. He works his socks off. So he's going to be a leader at this big tournament. Probably he won't be playing every game. He won't be starting and finishing every game. But he's going to lead by example.
He's going to start in.
Yeah, he will. He will. I believe there are games whereby we might not need to start Lamek Banda, especially games where we're going to be stretched the other side. We need Lubambo Msonda to try and cover either Benedict Chepeshi or Zephania Piri on the front.
And I love the confidence of Augustine over Benedict Chepeshi.
So he gives that cover to his fullback. And we might be a serious scenario where it's Lubambo Msonda playing that right back position. We've seen that.
The only time that Lubambo Msonda, if I was the coach, I would put him in a game where I want him to play right back, is when I want the free flowing of the wing backs. Because Lubambo is very quick to go up and very quick to draw back and defend. But generally, that right back position, the most disciplined player for the last 1.5 seasons has been Benedict Chepeshi in that position, and he deserves to be starting those games. But when you look at it, it's circumstantial. It's dependent on the game and the opposition that you are facing. If you want to use the wing backs, like Augustine said, he would prefer a flat 4. Flat 4 where you say, guys, your job, we are defenders. Forget about attacking. These guys will have the responsibility to go and attack and score. Let's protect our goalkeeper. That's a different format where Lubambo can't do. There you would need Benedict Chepeshi. He's a very disciplined guy when it comes to keeping position. Lubambo is good at attacking. We've seen him being used as an outside right winger at his club a couple of times. And when he comes to the national team, very comfortable position. He would play right back. He would be in attacking. He's a very good, versatile player. But when you look at his recent appearances for his club, it's a tough moment for him. Tough moment for him when you look at how the other players in the similar position have been performing at their clubs and at the national team. So it's a very, very big question to have a big armband. You play because you are the captain and not because of performance. It's a different story, and probably Avram Grant is going to sort out that puzzle.
And one big call that Avram Grant made, if you look at that team, I think was Frederick Mulambia. That was a very, very huge call to leave out Joshua Pudomitale and get Frederick Mulambia. But I think a lot of people do not understand why he made that call. But Frederick Mulambia is probably the closest we have to Emmanuel Banda in terms of box-to-box midfielders that work hard on and off the ball. He gives you that side of the game, because Clins Kangwa basically, Clins Kangwa and Cletus Chamashota, they are similar type of players. They are more attack-minded. They like to try and use the half spaces and create for the team. It falls in the same bracket with Radi Warrior. Radi Warrior plays better when he's off a striker, probably as a 10. He's not the kind of player who could play in two midfielders and your number 8. Radi Warrior will not do the work. So he's more... he's very good going forward. He will give you something. He's going to be very, very creative. But when you look at Emmanuel Banda, if God forbid Emmanuel Banda is injured, who do you play I think the closest is now the young Frederick Mulamba, because he can do both sides of the game. He can defend very well. He can make those splitting passes and open up defenses. So it gives you a very, very different dimension in the team. And I think I'm impressed with the addition of young Musonda. Kennedy Musonda, he's a willing runner. He's similar to Pat Ondaka. He loves to run the channels, he'll stretch defenses, and he's not the guy that will come deep as Pat Ondaka and link up play. He's not that good. But when it comes to stretching the defenders and being on the last defender's shoulders, he's very, very good when it's come to doing that. I think one probably I would have loved to see Andrew P, but we just have limited number. But I would have loved to see the boy Andrew P. You see what he does at Musa. And you could see in the game, yes, we'll get to the Super League, but you could see in the game against Zanaco, when Andrew P wasn't available, you could see that Musa didn't have that outlet. They didn't have anyone to link up play and probably be a threat, a constant threat in the box like Andrew P has been.
Anyway, that's just a bit of analyzing that the gentlemen have done, but we'll do more after the friendly game that will be played on the 9th, because Zambia is playing their first AFCON game that's on the 17th against the Congo DR. For now, we'll just take a very short break as we get back and look at the MTN Super League.
I'm Given Singuruma. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV every Saturday.
It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kid show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamagazagya, to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days in forgotten stories. We emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
My name is Christopher Adam. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV.
Some exciting games that we have today. That's in the MTN Super League. We've got an early kickoff that we see Nkwazi hosting Power Dynamos, and then we see FC Moza versus Red Arrows. But for now, let's look at the first one, which is the early kickoff. Nkwazi hosting Power Dynamos.
Nkwazi Power Dynamos, two teams that are coming from two different results. Power Dynamos managed to get past Napsa Stars. They missed a penalty in that encounter, and Nkwazi Football Club, after enjoying a very good paper patch, they went to Chilawombo and got beat by 2-1. So you could see that Beso Chambeshi is working some magic in Chilawombo. He went and beat Oswald Mutapa. You could see that Oswald Mutapa went to a very, very tough place a couple of weeks ago, Choma, and got that massive result. And then it was very, very disappointing for them to go to Chilawombo and get beat by 2-1. Remember, this was the first game of the season when Nkwazi hosted Congo Blaze in the reverse fixture. They won it by 3-0. Stephen Mutama scoring that wonderful strike. Was it 1-0? Yeah? Yeah, Stephen Mutama scoring the first goal of the season. But now they're coming up against a powerful Power Dynamos team who have got an interim coach in charge, still on auditions. Probably the man they're facing today might be one of the favorites. To get that kind of job in Oswald Mutapa. I think you could see what he's built at Nkwazi. He's brought in a lot of youth, and they play some good, energetic football, high tempo. This Nkwazi team, and they're going to pose a very, very huge threat for Power Dynamos, with Willard Mwanza being in goal, because they do not have Lawrence Mulenga, and Dominic Chanda at the heart of defense with Frederick Mulambi. I think it's going to be a very, very huge test for Power Dynamos. But Joshua Mutale, he needs to stand up and be counted, because now the disappointment of missing the Africa Cup of Nations, he needs to show that he's one of those players we've heard during the course of the week that there are rumors being linked in to Simba, and you do not want this transfer news to get to the heads of your players. You want them to be hands-on and get the job done. It's very, very difficult coming to Edwin Mbwela Stadium. Ngwazi have made that place fortress this season, and I do think probably to end in a goalless draw, or probably a Ngwazi win.
Well, my opinion is slightly different. This is a Power Dynamos team that has a big pool of players, and the absence of 3 regular players, I don't expect that to be to have an impact on the team, because they have a lot of quality players available at their disposal to manage Ngwazi. I remember the reverse fixture ended 2-1 in favor of Power Dynamos, but in that particular game, I think Ngwazi dominated play. They conceded 2 quick goals, and they tried to push the game to Power Dynamos. They got the consolation goal, which was the only goal they had in that game. And this afternoon, also Adimtapa, I would like to prove a point that he's a coach that is a very, very top coach in the country, and a very, very top job that he's been rumored and linked with is a move to Power Dynamos, and which continues to be a rumor, and he needs to up his game and win that match so that he stamps his authority over the calls that are being made by Exco, whether he's moving or he's not. But I think Power Dynamos will have a slight advantage in this particular game because of the coach who is on probation. He needs to step up and say, I don't need the coach to come here, I can do the job. Proving he needs to prove the point that he should be given that role permanently.
Another exciting
they might emerge victorious narrowly by a long goal to 0.
Another exciting fixture, and perhaps on a team from Charleston will be facing FC Muza.
Well, Red Arrows has been very, very consistent. I must confess that the coming in of Alassana Diarra in that team, and just the way, the combination of these players, we have seen Akim also penetrating in that team, bringing in those dangerous crosses from the right. We have seen Saddam Yusuf. I think a couple of games that I've watched where has been given the armband to take over the team. I think he's been very, very fantastic, and the consistency that they've exhibited is good enough to grind him results in Mazabuka this afternoon. But that is a very, very difficult hunting ground, and for me, Muza will try and get the result. That is their fortress, that is their hunting ground, and they are not going to sleep up and just allow these guys from Charleston to come back with results.
We've seen, Augustine, you said it earlier, that when Muza faced Zanaco, I think up front there we could see the missing of Andrew Piri, and he's now back, and they'll be facing the Red Arrows.
Yeah, I think I've already spoken about this FC.
How many goals has Ricky Banda scored?
Ricky Banda has scored 6 goals in the league. So he's on the right path. He's about number 5 from the top scorer. So you can see, I think our biggest problem in this league is finding pure goal scorers. You've got Andrew Piri, FC Muza has got 8. That's the only leading Zambian when it comes to goals, followed by Ricky Banda, who's got 6, together with Ezekiel Winkambamba. So I think Red Arrows going to FC Muza is always a spicy and tricky encounter. These teams have met 3 times in the league. They have all ended in draws, and one was ended prematurely at Koloma Stadium.
No, that wasn't a draw.
It ended prematurely. It was 1-1 at the bottom. On the field of play, the game ended 1-1. In the boardroom, Muza won by 3.
That's the result we wanted.
Yeah, so last time Red Arrows went to Mazabuka, it ended goalless. They came to Nkoloma Stadium, it's the one which ended prematurely. Then this season, Red Arrows were leading up until the last minute when he scored. So one of the best goals you ever see this season from a substitute with his first touch, which was Rickson Nambi. He has struggled after that. He went to Choma, he scored the brace. He hasn't been seeing game time at FC Muza. So I think there's a big problem with man management. If I look at the players that were coming in at Koroma Stadium against Zanaco, I think Rickson Nambi is better than those guys, let's be honest. I think
That's dog guy.
exactly.
That's right.
What I was getting is that he's only good when it comes to headers.
I only whispered something.
I watched him for the first time against Ghana at Woodlands.
Wow.
You know that guy, I think he's still trying to identify his talent. He's a basketballer.
I think
He needs to
so.
play.
If you look at Zanaco in the game against Musa, Zanaco could have won that by 3 or 4 if they were clinical, because Charles Zulu had the beating of all the FC Musa defenders. No one was getting close to Charles Zulu. He was running wings. They couldn't stop Charles Zulu with his pace. Together with the Musa captain Kasanda, he was struggling with Charles Zulu. But Zanaco, you could see where they are at a club. As a club, they were failing to finish their half court. Below average players, not even average, but below average players, who some of them have attracted a huge signing on fee or probably transfer fee, like Simon Skawonga, who came from Zesco United. Very, very poor footballer. He's failing to finish in the box. I think getting to the Red Arrows FC Musa game, I think the battle will be won in midfield. You look at the midfielders that FC Musa have in terms of Solomon Pasela, I think is very right.
That guy
Pasela
is
is very, very intelligent. A lot of people have talked about Gibson Manasa, but Solomon Pasela is one player to watch out. He's very, very small, but when it comes to reading of the game, the moves he makes, he's one of the best central midfielders we have in the league currently. And Musa's best attacking player is being played as a left back in Muya. Muya is very, very intelligent. He's good with both feet. He knows how to find spaces. He knows how to link up play with Andrew Piri. It's going to be a very, very tough afternoon for Red Arrows in Mazabuka. Having in mind that Red Arrows have struggled away from home. They've lost 4 games this season and 3 have been on the road. It's going to be difficult.
I'm sure Chisimbewe has made a call to Chicken George on the secret of winning in Mazabuka.
It's going to be very, very tough. Because there's that rivalry that's growing between Red Arrows and FC Musa. So Musa won't take this game lightly. They will fight Red Arrows until the end, and probably it looks like
Another
an
draw.
FC Musa win.
Or another draw.
It looks like a Musa win.
Aye.
Forest Rangers will be hosting Zanaco. Green Eagles will be hosting
Struggling Zanaco.
Struggling Zanaco. Who failed to beat Musa?
Well, the bankers, maybe the A teams. And I think we saw Nkana come to Lusaka and
Beat Zanaco.
I wanted you to finish the statement there. Struggling Zanaco was beaten by Nkana FC in their current situation. You can tell how grave the need for that team to resuscitate itself and come back to the winning ways that we know Sensational Zanaco for, and they have really struggled. And to be honest, I am not convinced with how they are playing soccer. You have the brilliance of a few players in that team that will give you the flair of the game, and you would sit back and watch and say, okay, a few players are pushing, they want to win, but it's not everybody that is up to the level of which Sensational Zanaco should be.
Yeah.
And the move to Forest Rangers, where we have seen now that Forest Rangers is under Chipepo, we have seen how they have resurrected and how consistent they have been and how they are terrorizing teams. It will be a very, very difficult game for Sensational Zanaco this afternoon, and my take is Forest Rangers will have an advantage. They are playing at home, so it won't be easy. But Sensational Zanaco, they really need this win to move away from the last few hitches they've had in the past few weeks. They have to grind the result and turn around things. They've got a lot of youngsters in that team, a lot of youngsters that are doing fine as individuals. But as a team, they are yet to gel and just make a complete formidable side that will be beating teams week in, week out.
I think just to add on, I think Zanaco are really a team in transition. You will see the way they play. There is no clear identity what they want to do with this team. You look at Angorapson said that there are a couple of individuals who are standing out for Zanaco, and one of them has been Danmeka Siamenko. He's been brilliant for Zanaco. He's kept them in games. Even against Musa, he made some brilliant save to keep the game at 0-0. And if you look at Isaac Shamjopo, I think he's not very much consistent with his performances.
Yeah, I think I want to mention.
Yeah, he's not very consistent. But you could see
he's one of the weakest links in
today. He plays very well. Like he played against Musa, he was outstanding against Musa. The next weekend, you would wonder, is it the Isaac Shamjopa who played very well against FC Musa? Prosper Chilwa is blowing out and court. He's not consistent with his performances. I think even his career in general, it has been up, down, down.
Yeah.
Because this is a boy that has got a lot of potential in Prosper Chilwa. Isaiah Kazembe, they brought this boy from Indeni, a team which got relegated. He looks like one of the best signings they made during the transfer window. Zanako is decent, he's good in 1v1 situations, but I think the biggest problem is in central midfield. They brought in Onyango. He's going to be the destroyer. He's going to hold up play. He's going to break up the opposition's attack. But you go and get a young boy from Chanel in Dominic Kanda. Dominic Kanda is best placed when he's playing as a holding midfielder, when he's just seeing everything in front of him. But what they're trying to do is that they're trying to fit all these pieces in one puzzle, and it's failing to work for Zanaco. Dominic Kanda cannot give you anything when you're playing as an 8, as a box-to-box midfielder. The game is by passing him. So against FC Musa, he was failing to get on the ball, because what he wants to do is that he wants to pick the ball from the defenders and then build up. But there's Onyango who is doing that job already in that holding role. The only outlet they have, Zanaco, attacking wise, is Charles Zulu. That's the only positivity they have. They substituted Mustafa first half. Yes, you could see that they've got a lot of question marks. If I was Wada, probably would have substituted 3 or 4 players in that game in the first half against FC Musa, because they were that bad, Zanaco. They're just relying on individual brilliance, which is Charles Zulu. If it's not Charles Zulu, then it's failing to click. Kawanga Chawananga is failing to live up to the expectation. He did very well last season, but this season he looks lost. Please, is it probably he's playing with players who do not understand this type of game? Probably, yeah, because he wants to play on the flanks where Charles Zulu is occupying on the left to cut in and take shots. It's going to be a very, very tough season for Zanaco. They've played 4 games now. Is it without scoring? They got beat at Mutondo, they got beat by Ghana, and they draw with FC Musa. They need to start getting them the goals. Brian Miller, two good games, so him be part of the national team. Hat-trick, and they go against Osiris. That's 4 goals.
And that's how we close this chapter.
Another exciting fixture that we have is Napsa Stars versus Green Buffalo.
Napsa Stars
Struggling Napsa
Stars. I think there are a lot of issues surrounding.
They are our neighbors, eh?
Yeah.
You know, we're now neighbors.
We are
neighbors, yeah.
We are neighbors.
They are neighbors.
In the box.
In that
they are
red
next
zone.
to us.
In that red zone.
No. We
in
are
the red
neighbors.
zone. Yes, in the relegation zone. So I think I do feel sorry for Perimuta. Looking at what he's done at Napsa Stars when he went there, I think it was similar problems. He went there, they lost a couple of key players, free transfers. Dixon Chapa went to just United on loan. But he managed to build a squad which bounced right back and won the Absa Cup. I felt from that time he was going to be backed heavily in the transfer market. They didn't do that because in the National League, their top scorer was Musonda Kapembo. He scored 7 goals. 7 goals. Napsa, as a team, they scored about 30 goals, if I'm not mistaken. They come into the Super League. You expected them to try and add firepower going forward. The biggest, probably, player who was coming in the door was Dixon Chapa, returning from Zesco United back to Napsa Stars. And you could see that he came there, he was very, very solid, solidified the team. They had a very decent season last season, Napsa Stars. They are first from the National League. Again, the struggle was up front, getting goals. If Musonda Kapemba was not scoring those penalties, who was going to get the goals for Napsa Stars?
They went to mention that they were penalties.
He scored a lot of penalties. About 7 penalties. You get the point? And they had Angorapson is the favorite striker, Pinoki. What? What does Pinoki do to Napsa Stars? What does he offer the team? I think there are a lot of question marks in terms of their transfer dealings. They brought in Adam Zikiru last season halfway. He scored a lot of goals, so they get closer to that continental slot. They missed out from FC Musa about 5 points away from FC Musa, and that was a good season for Napsa Stars. They had to build on that this season. They went into this transfer market again. They failed to strengthen. The biggest problem has been strengthening Napsa Stars, who is writing the checks to bring in players at Napsa Stars. And now the biggest problem is...
Before we even look at bringing in players and who's strengthening, how to strengthen the squad, let's look at even the management of the players that you already
have. That's the biggest problem.
It's a pathetic state of affairs at Napsa Stars, to say the least. Because when you look at, you are going into a game against Green Buffaloes. On Friday, we should be discussing contracts.
You get the point.
We should be discussing contracts with players that you've had. And you know that these contracts will come to an end at some point.
My understanding is that when you're getting closer to the end of the contract, 6 months before, you start negotiating.
In Europe,
they've left it
in Europe, even with 1 year to go,
yes, you
they'll tell you to extend.
And I think there's a brilliant piece wrote by Wami Katanga, the transfer specialist. He talked about they lost Gwenj Pasula, he's moved on to Kansanshi. They lost Austin Banda, he's gone to Ghana Football Club. They have got players who have been carrying this Napsa team. Look
at the
Dixon Chapa. Is it the young Nkata? They are all out of contracts. I think who has been doing this business behind the scenes for Napsa Stars? I think the biggest problem is the administrative side of things. They are not doing the right things to try and help Perimutapa and the team.
This is where the administrators, I think the administrators at Napsa Stars, sorry to say this, they are trying to run the club as if it is formal employment in the office, where you want, the contract is coming to an end. Of course, the people have to reapply for those contracts to be renewed. But when it comes to football, it has to be managed differently. You are not going to ask players to renew their contracts, to say, write an application letter and we renew your contract. You have to be proactive and face the players and tell them, guys, your contracts are coming to an end in the next 4 or 5 months. These are the terms for your extensions. How do you look at the terms? You tend to agree, such that even the players' focus is basically just to go and play soccer on the pitch. Everything else is being done smoothly. But you get to a stage where 24 hours before you play Green Buffaloes Football Club, we are hearing stories of players having signed contracts. This one is not yet on contract. And you know what that means to the player's psychological mind as you get to
and the other question, do these players even have agents?
Yeah, of course they have.
Better representation.
They have.
The biggest club problem, like
it's administration.
I think Mr. Gomez just touched on a very, very good point. It's like you are reporting for work. Your contract is out by the 1st December. It was done, and then you are now just going for work. You don't know whether you will be paid, whether you've got a job. Even these people, they are human beings. They have got families. They have got people to take care of. They need to know where their future is. Because what happens when you are told on the 31st of January that we're not renewing your contract? Where do you go?
How do you allow a free agent like Austin Banda, who's been a regular at the club,
who can be an asset when you sell him more?
The guy has gone free.
So I think there are a lot of problems at Napsa Stars which could have been dealt in a very, very good manner. Like Mrs. Kombe said, when you are heading towards the final year of your contract, I think you need to engage the coach. Do we need Austin Banda at Napsa Stars?
Yeah.
Then Perimutapa will advise whether he's still in my plans
or
not. Or not. If he's not in my plans, who are you bringing in the door if you are not extending the contract of Austin Banda? You need to try and tell me who is coming in to replace Austin Banda. If you feel Austin Banda's wages probably are going to be a burden for the football club, it has to be straight. Everyone has to know their position. I think it has been dealt in a situation where it looks like it's amateur.
Just to add on to what you are saying, Augustine, even if, for example, we are not interested in keeping Augustine as a player, we know his contract is coming to an end on December 31st. Okay? The coach knows that I am not going to continue with Augustine. Surely, as administrators, the question that I'll ask myself is, should we allow this contract to run through to the end and allow Augustine to leave for free? The answer is no. As an administrator, I'll come to Augustine. Augustine, there are teams that are looking for your services. You need to leave. You need to leave. Probably the reason why you are taking that approach is to get value from this guy instead of allowing him to go as a free agent. You have to be business minded and just think about it in those spaces.
I remember these guys were the ones that paid big money for Austin Banda a couple of years ago from Mountain Player Wonders, and then he just walks out on a free. You look at the investment that you've made to bring these players. Dixon Chapa, for example, from is it Kongola Mine Police. So you could see that you've invested in these players, but what you get in return? Nothing. How do you lose an asset like Luka Banda, who is closer to that national team?
Not too closer. He's part of
the national team.
Except the numbers are limited.
Because now what happens is that Luka Banda is free to speak to any club. He can walk into any club next week.
Maybe he signed last night.
You could see. So there are big problems. Now it's all about royalty from this player. Say, okay, I just want to be here.
Maybe there is need.
Zambian administration.
There is need for an administration maybe to be having.
My question is, how did Ghana sign Idris Mbombo on a 2-year contract?
Imagine.
It's January, okay, and our league January it's halfway. So what happens when 2 years from now, Idris Mbombo is top scorer from Ghana with 15 goals, Ghana on top of the league? It's January. He's free to walk out of Ghana and sign for any team. What happens with Ghana Football Club? Do these administrators think about these scenarios? Idris Mbombo signing out, any player in Europe, wherever you go, when they're signing halfway through the season, they add 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah, they add plus 6 months
so that it starts running correctly.
Yeah, it runs correctly. That you lose this player when it's off season, not during the season. It's a big problem. Even
it's a contribution. It's a contribution.
Fred Michel, the top scorer of Green Eagles, is running out of contract halfway through the season, and they signed his 1-year contract. So come the end of the season, he's free to talk to any
and
team.
He has established himself. So even as a player, he's looking at
Zesco United. Zesco United, once they win the league, they're going into contender football. They are going to offer him a huge signing on fee, and he walk into Ndora.
Due to time.
Yes. We are a serious Zesco United team now.
Due to time, on your final closing remarks.
Ghana Football Club this afternoon takes on Mtondo Stars and
Tricky Mtondo.
Yeah, they are our brothers. Kabila is our own, so it will be a family affair. And I think they just need to give in and allow Ghana Football Club to resurrect this afternoon. And to the fans out there, thank you so much for joining us on this show. And please find your way to any stadium nearest to your place and just support Bola Yapazedi as we get into the last few games before we go for a break and shift our focus to continental football.
Big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible, and big thanks to our viewers out there for tuning in. We always appreciate your effort and support. Like Angorapsan said, trek to the nearest stadium and support Bola Yapazedi, because local is local.
Well, this is where we have come to the end of the show, but like everyone has said, Augustine Angorapsan, trek to the nearest stadium for you to support your teams. On behalf of the whole entire production team, this has been Amos aka Amore. It's bye bye. See you next week, same time, same place.